Okay, at the outset, I must thank General SPP Singh because he has covered most portion of my talk. And thanks to you, sir, because I'll be able to skip out those portions which have already been covered. Uh, I I extend a warm welcome, Konichiwa, as they call in the Japanese, who are Japanese panelists today. It's extremely important for these two countries to understand each other better. And what best than a defense cooperation and collaboration? In geopolitics, it is extremely important that common interests, shared vision, and mutual respect bind nations together. The edifice of good relations between Japan and India is based on these aspects. I was privy to the discussion earlier, what was taking place in the previous session, and I got an impression that possibly all is not well between Japan and India, and I want to remove that impression amongst us here because our relationship is on a very strong level. We have challenges, but at the same time, we must not forget that these two countries have common interests, shared vision, and mutual respect. And especially in the Indo Pacific region, it's extremely important to understand because we both countries share a similar outlook on regional security, economic growth, and strategic interests. If these factors, if we keep it at the background and we understand it, you will be able to appreciate the deep sense of friendship between the two countries. In recent years, we have actually evolved into a strategic partnership with each other. And especially the young researchers who are watching this program, they need to understand what is a strategic partnership because most of us, we keep on talking in the forums using big, big jargons and big, big words. Strategic partnership is where you share your technology with each other, where you share your strengths with each other. And that is where Japan and India are extremely important. So before I move on to the defense aspect, extremely important to understand Japan's security scenario, which has been covered very, very briefly by the earlier speakers. Today in the Northeast Asia region, Japan faces a problem with a China-Russia nexus. We recently saw both these countries deploying their H-6 and Tu-95 bombers in this region. There are numerous instances of launching of Chinese missiles in the exclusive economic zone of Japan. The North Korean threat also is extremely important for Japan, as I have certain statistics that more than 50 missiles have been launched by North Korea across Japan. And what is the intention of all this? And then to finally cap it all, the conflagration of the Taiwan imbroglio also poses a serious threat to Japan. Therefore, today, Japan has reshaped its doctrine. We are uh, seeing the new national security strategy coming to play, which actually gives it a counter strike capability. So we have to understand now Japan is looking now to shed its posture of a self defense army into a counter strike capability, and it's a white paper, it's a defense white paper, which I've just read, has identified, I think, 28th of July 2020, it has been published, Japan has identified China as its greatest strategic challenge. So, the very fact that we both countries have identified the same China as its most strategic challenge should actually bring us closer to each other. So, uh, we also need to understand the importance of the Indo-Pacific in this entire discussion with Japan. The Indo-Pacific is the vision, I would say, of Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. He laid out the strategic vision as the confluence of the two seas during his visit to India in 2006 and 7. Now, why this region is the most important? Because it is the largest economic center of the world with major sea lanes and maritime trade routes such as the Malacca Strait. It is also home to nine busiest ports in the world, with about 65% of the world's maritime trade passing through this region. So, therefore, China is posing a serious threat to Indo-Pacific, and therefore the Accord has actually come about, and therefore the AUKUS has come about. So all this we need to understand, and we also have uh, Japan's free and open Indo-Pacific strategy, and India's Indo-Pacific Ocean Initiative. So both these things have actually meshed together to bring the actually countries closer to each other. Uh, Talking about the momentum of our defense cooperation, it started as early as 1999. It would be wrong to presume, if the people are being given the impression that it has started only a few years back. It started in 1999 with joint exercises between the Coast Guards. If you remember the MV Olandra incident, where the Indian Coast Guard rescued a Japanese ship from the pirates. So the actually countries got also together in 2004 tsunami, where so much of destruction was caused to Japan. And that is how the two countries have uh, come closer to each other. Today, we have a special strategic and a global partnership with each other. We also have a comprehensive economic partnership agreement. So these are the very important things. Of course, the 2.2 ministerial prologue, as has been mentioned by the previous speaker. So India is among the few countries where Japan has a reciprocal provision of supply and services. So we need to understand this, and also we need to understand that we have acquisition and a cross servicing agreement, ACSA, as we call it with each other. And it's therefore these joint working groups which have been working on the defense equipment and technology. The last meet was held on 26 June 2023, and there have been seven meetings before that. So you can understand this entire gamut, that Indo-Japanese strengthening of the partnership is an ongoing process, and it's going on. A great deal of emphasis has been laid on the joint exercises. Mentioned by the previous speaker, we had the JAMX, we had the Malabar, we had the Veer Guardian. So I'm not elaborating on these things. It has already been spoken. Uh, Now let's come to the focus of my talk, the key areas for defense cooperation. What are we looking at between India and Japan? We are looking at agreements for the exchange of supply and services between the two countries. We are looking at the new national defense strategy of Japan, and the intention which has been mentioned in this strategy. I want to highlight a, a paragraph which mentions a deepen bilateral and multilateral defense exchanges, including a service to service exchange in a broad range of fields, including maritime security, space, and cyber security, and while promoting training and exercises as well as defense equipment and technological cooperation. And here I would like to mention the Japan and India Vision 2025, which seeks a synergy between India's Act East policy and Japan's partnership for quality infrastructure. So, with this intention, uh, uh, Prime Minister Kishida he announced during his visit to India in March 2022 an investment target of 5 trillion yen, which is approximately 37 billion dollars in India over the next 5 years. So here we are talking of Japanese investment in India, which has been promised by the Japanese Prime Minister for $37 billion. And the Japanese budget has, especially the defense budget, has therefore been increased from 1% of their GDP to 2%. So these are very important indicators where Japan and India are heading together. So let us now identify the opportunities because it's extremely important to identify what opportunities are there for these two countries to collaborate and cooperate with each other. Japan has identified 12 key technological fields to strengthen its national security, which includes insect-sized robots, electromagnetic barriers, unmanned systems, cyber defense, and advancement in the non-kinetic warfare using artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and so on. And here I would like to add the edifice of our cooperation starts because there is much to share in artificial intelligence. There is much to share in technology and quantum computing. Japan has also been scouting around for key defense equipment. Today, Japan has 1,100 companies involved in the manufacture of fighter jet aircrafts, 1,300 companies involved in the manufacture of tanks, and 8,300 companies in building the destroyers. These companies possess special and advanced skills and have a production and technological basis in Japan. Japan is pursuing to build 100 sixth generation fighter aircrafts by 2030 in collaboration with Lockheed Martin, BAE Systems, Boeing, etc. Japan has also proposed a homogeneous stealth fighter aircraft on a hybrid model of F-22 and F-35 at the cost of 40 billion US dollars. So India has this opportunity now because India also does not have a sixth generation fighter aircraft program. So we can join hands with Japan under the GCAP consortium. So this is the first opportunity I would like to highlight. The second opportunity is Japan has lifted the embargo on the exports of the lethal military equipment. You see, earlier Japan had a policy that we will export everything, but we will not export the lethal military equipment, including missiles and jets. So now it has opened the doors to India and 11 other countries. So this move is seen as a very positive signal. Uh, Let us now showcase the Indian defense industry because it would of interest to Japan and my Japanese panelist here. We recently showcased the ALS 50 loitering ammunition. So I want to just highlight this loitering ammunition or kamikaze as it is called because it actually bridges the gap between a cruise missile and a normal UAV. So This will be an area which would be of interest to Japan. UAV for ISR intelligence uh, and reconnaissance and surveillance, nano UAVs such as the Doot and Parush. These are the two nano UAVs which have been built by India. It would be of interest to Japan. And we have showcased all this in the recent Indo-Pacific Armed Forces Conference held at New Delhi, where 24 army chiefs of various countries were present. Japan would also be interested in the BrahMos and the Akash missile systems. So we are now looking at these areas of collaboration. India today ranks as the fourth largest spender on military expenditure globally, and Japan is at the 10th place. So, here is an opportunity for Japan to expand its bilateral trade between India and Japan. And let me remind the viewers, it has hit a record high in financial year 2021-22 to $20.57 billion dollars. So we should not be having an impression that the things are not happening. Things are happening at a very fast pace, and India intends to achieve its export targets for defense to 35,000 crores by 2025. So this is an important area. One more important area I would like to bring here is the artillery guns, the Pinaka rockets and the launchers, the radars, the simulators, the armored vehicles, because these are being exported by India in a big way. There is a global demand for LCA Tejas, light combat helicopters, aircraft carriers, and MRO activities. So these are the areas which I have identified for collaboration between India and Japan. We could get into the dual use technologies such as the UAVs, robotics, intelligence systems, cyber security cooperation between Japan and India, and especially the 5G, and now actually moving to the 6G technology. All this has been a topic for discussion in the joint working groups which we are actually having with Japan. So we see and envisage the global role between India and Japan today. It's extremely important because we are members of Quad, we are members of the ASEAN, and we have all like-minded countries also getting together in the region. We have also the formation of the Indo-Pacific Maritime Domain Awareness to strengthen the maritime capability of these two countries. And Japan's recent announcement, I want to highlight here, of an investment of a staggering $75 billion to assist the economies in the Indo-Pacific region by 2030 is a very significant step. And I would now conclude my talk in the sort of mentioning that Atmanirbharta journey of India has gone notches higher. We are offering expertise in building fighter jets and submarines and sharing of information and technology. Japan has demonstrated its commitment to enhance its strategic partnership with India, and I'm extremely confident and I'm optimistic. I would say that in future we are going to see our defense corridors, Japanese companies coming to India, investing here, and we investing in Japan in their defense corridors. I see a very, very bright future for the defense industry as far as India and Japan is concerned. And I would like to conclude in the words of Henry Ford, uh, coming together is a beginning, staying together is a progress, and working together is a success. So, with this, I end my talk, and I look forward to a very fruitful discussion from the next speakers. My best wishes to all of them. Jai Hind.